barawe obengumo bichevere ya obina bihe nambiri mome babihe biriki hiyo barawe kupuo.
By firelight, an Adventist pastor tells a Bible story. Most of his captive audience cannot read or write, but they are eager to learn. In the desert flatlands of northern Namibia lives the tribe of the Himba. These simple people have lived the same way for hundreds of years. Families form small communities where fathers, mothers, children, spouses, and grandchildren all live together. Their houses are simple huts that are surrounded by thorn bushes that create a wall to protect the families from predators. The Himba live on milk and meat from their livestock, as well as corn, pumpkin, and other produce they can grow in their small gardens. The young men of the family work all day herding the cattle and goats, while the smaller children head out in search of water. There are not many opportunities for these children to obtain an education, so their education is passed down as it has been for centuries. They are an oral culture.
The bigger one is going to be this one.
About 15 years ago, Adventist Frontier Missions workers Gideon and Pam Peterson started working among the Himba, but they found the work to be very difficult. Gideon ran into many roadblocks.
I was perceived as a young person. I was young, but I was perceived as a child, I should say. And I didn't know that until much later. And they don't respect children teaching an adult. And so that even though I didn't see it at the time, it became a big challenge eventually.
The Himba are taught to respect the views and opinions of their elders. When an elder shares knowledge, it is accepted by the whole tribe. The Himba worship the spirits of their dead ancestors. The family elder will sit by a fire and consult with the dead family members to obtain their wisdom and guidance. It is only the elders that are allowed to pass on any new knowledge or information. All of this information is passed on through the telling of stories.
Every night they sit around a fire telling stories, sharing stories. When people meet, it's important to share my story, where I come from, to hear the story of the other person. So stories as a very important bonding method to build community.
Gideon was finally accepted and was allowed to join the fireside sessions and was even able to share stories of his own. But when the Petersons tried to share the gospel, they found that the Himba had no concept of sin or many of the other biblical teachings that we take for granted. For years, they struggled to reach the Himba people. Then, they discovered a simple solution.
No, ehungene no mali tuwe kuja ngahino njambi ulipona pehe pomuna munyawe.
The methods that we've been trying to use over the last 4 or 5 years experimenting with is oral methods, using the Himba music, Himba poetry, Himba singing, dancing, chanting, storytelling methods, and then putting that into a biblical worldview, or the biblical worldview into those kinds of styles.
Gideon has trained a local lay pastor, Kapitongo, to oversee the production of the audio files, and they're now using solar panel devices called God Pods to distribute the audio Bible stories to the Himba communities. The Petersons have now moved on to another assignment, but Kapitongo will continue the outreach to the Himba tribes. Your faithful support of the mission offering will help to pay for the production of the audio files, as well as buy the solar-powered players that will be distributed to the Himba communities throughout all of northern Namibia. Thank you for supporting the mission of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.